Hi, everyone, and welcome. So, we have a feeling that you have stumbled across this video because you have got a book idea brewing and you are eager to transform that idea into a bestseller. We hope that you know that what you have to say has the potential to elevate your business. Maybe it has the potential to earn you passive income. And hopefully, whatever your idea is that got you to this video in the first place is the idea that's finally going to get you started on that creative career that you've always dreamed of. So, if that describes you, you are in the right place. But before we get started, and in case you don't know us here at Evergreen Authors, we need to be clear about one thing. We believe very passionately that authors who use data to make decisions about their book, from drafting the book to publishing it to marketing it, those are the ones who find the most success in this very tough and saturated market. All right, so we hear you. This is a creative project. I don't want to be thinking about statistics and analytics. It's going to kill the creative process for me. Look, we get it. We are authors here first as well. We know firsthand how hard it is to balance the creative spirit that gets you writing with all of that business know-how that is going to ensure your success. And all that being said, we've been doing this for a long time. As authors, as marketers, as coaches for publishers, we know that it is possible to strike that balance between using data to support your decisions and remaining true to your creative spirit. I promise you can do it. All right, so if you are just getting to know us, we're Roseanne and Josie. We are real life authors who have found successful creative careers by really leaning into our strengths and not being afraid to try new things and to make mistakes. We founded Evergreen Authors way back in 2019 because we love sharing what we've learned about the business of writing with others, and we do this no strings attached. All right, so I want to be clear here. There's a time and a place for your feelings to guide this process. And that time is at the beginning, right before you do any of the steps that are outlined in this blueprint. So here are the questions I want you to think about. Do you want to write a book? Can you find a way to enjoy the process? Are you willing to kind of ride the ups and downs of publishing in this very constantly changing landscape? Those questions are really the questions that need to be answered by your gut instincts and your honest feelings. And so, if the answer to these questions is yes, then wonderful. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's be sure to place those wonderful, excited feelings aside and put on our scientific lab coats because we're going to be working on a data driven blueprint to get your book published in 9 months. All right, so we know you're excited, but before you start typing away, you really need to take the time to understand your audience intimately. We think that this is the most important and the very first step in writing that bestseller that is really going to make an impact on people's lives. This is your crucial opportunity at the forefront for you to use data to zero in on the perfect niche for your book. There's lots of ways for you to do that depending on your genre. You can start by researching trends in your genre, or maybe if you're writing nonfiction, you can research trends in your subject area. You can use all sorts of tools for this, like Google Trends. You can search Amazon's bestsellers. Goodreads can provide really invaluable insights, especially for fiction authors, into what topics are hot right now. And hopefully this research is going to serve as inspiration for you to begin to write with maximum efficiency. So that means you know that there is an audience for this awesome idea that you have because you've already done the research for it. All right, so you have 3 action steps for month 1. So first, like I said, you're going to analyze trends. You can use Google Trends to see how interest in your topic has evolved over time. This is especially important if you're writing a nonfiction book. You want to be specific. You want to be open-minded. What you learn from this research will inform your book's content. So even if you have a wonderful idea, if your research shows you that there's a different path or a different angle or maybe a different way for you to present it, be open-minded to that and see if that's something that you can work into your creative process. Next, you're going to survey the competition. This is really important. So you want to check out the top books in your genre on Amazon. You want to note their themes and their titles or their subtitles, read the reader reviews, and understand what works for your audience. And most importantly, you are going to be really kind of zoning in on what is missing from the books that are already put out there. And I really don't want you to panic if there are other books out there with your exact same topic. Sometimes this happens. But I just want to be very clear that no matter what, you can still write your book, even if a book on that topic has already been written, because your unique spin on ideas or ways of presenting information is always valuable and always welcome. There's room at the table for your ideas. The third thing you're going to do in month one is that you are going to very specifically identify your audience. Who is reading these books? I want you to gather demographic information, really to pinpoint who's going to be interested in your topic. And remember, the more specific you can be, the better. Your audience should never be just everyone or every parent or all business people. That's way, way too broad. At this point, before you start writing, it's going to serve you really well to get very specific and research how your ideal reader consumes information. You can think about how you can meet your audience where they already are and see how your book can really solve a problem for them. Do not skip any of these steps in month one. They are critical to having you keep your confidence and motivation through the writing process. All right, so month two, we're going to be talking about building your audience and platform. We have been talking about the importance of an author platform for many, many years now here at Evergreen Authors. Building an audience before your book launches can make a huge difference in reach and in sales. And it is never too early to start this process. But it's really important to remember that not all platforms are created equal. So for this month, this is 4 weeks for you to really get focused on laying the groundwork for what's going to work for you to engage with potential readers and hopefully build an online presence that you're proud of and that will last for the long term. All right, so you've got 3 action steps for month 2. First is social media. So hold on, don't freak out yet. At this point, you're just going to decide on the platform or the platforms that you're willing to spend time and effort on and create profiles on them. That's really all you have to do. If you're already using a platform consistently, make sure that your profile is optimized to its fullest. And I want to be very, very clear here. No, you do not need to be on social media if you don't want to. So if this is just filling you with dread, just skip this part. There are plenty of ways for you to reach your audience outside of social media. Never commit to any social media platform without being willing to put in the time and energy and resources to do it and use it right. All right. The second thing you're going to do in this month 2 is focus on some content creation. So whether you're on social media or maybe your platform is just to create some sort of newsletter or maybe a blog, start by sharing some valuable content that's related to your book's topic with a focus on providing value to your audience. So you're not selling anything here. You're not asking people to follow you. At this point, you are really just creating content that you think is going to resonate with your readers. So this can be done through blog posts. Maybe if you create some infographics, that can be done on social media if you're using that. You can create emails, articles. You can create short videos. I want you to note that content creation varies widely based on the social media platform that you've chosen. So if you are using a platform that is very specific in terms of how it is connecting with its audience, say Instagram, for example, is highly visual, you're going to make sure that you are using that platform to the very best of its ability. And this is the same thing goes for if you are just creating a blog, or maybe you just are willing to create one newsletter a month. make sure that you are using any of these efforts to connect with your audience to their fullest potential. The last thing you're going to do is think and really focus on engagement. So, we are always amazed by how many authors forget the simple fact that social media is social. So, if you are choosing to create a social media account anywhere and you're hoping that it grows and that people will buy your book from it, you need to start at this point by responding to comments and messages that come in. Connect with other creators, connect with other authors who are writing in your genre, comment on their posts, engage in some thoughtful and very no strings attached communication. You're going to have to trust us with this. Building relationships now is going to pay off as you write and publish and market your book. So have some fun with this, no matter what platforms you have chosen to be on. All right, we are already at month 3, and now it's time to draft that book outline. So now that you have kind of defined your niche, you've done your research on that, you've started building or expanding upon any of your chosen platforms, it's really time to get serious about your book's content. If you haven't picked up our book, Portable Magic, How to Write and Publish a Great Book, now is a great time to do that, because that book really talks in a lot of detail about some best practices for creating a book outline. We cannot stress this enough. Avoid writer's block, avoid frustration, and avoid wasting time and energy by outlining your book using data from your research. It is going to ensure that your outline is resonating with your audience. It is going to be your home base that you can continue to go back to as you draft your book. You will be so grateful for all of the work that you have done in month 3 to create a really solid book outline. All right, so these are really important action steps for this book, so take your time with them, okay? The first is to create your outline. We could never stress this enough, especially if you're a first-time author. So you are going to take some time to draft a detailed outline of your book's chapters. Make bullet points to ensure that each chapter either moves your story along or covers new content. Believe me when I say, the more work you do on your outline, the smoother the writing process will be. If you have written many, many books in the past, it's possible that you don't need such a detailed outline. But again, if this is your first time doing this, or maybe if the first time you wrote a book, it was a rough process for you, this is your opportunity to go back to that outlining and see how valuable it can be for you. The next thing that you can do here, and this is a very optional step, is to get some feedback on that outline. So if you have some readers, we call them beta readers. Those are the first readers of your book. Maybe you're part of a writing group. Maybe you have some really trusted professionals that you want to share your outline with to get their feedback. You can at this stage, but we would always stress to do this carefully. You only want to engage with potential readers who are intimately connected to your content. Hopefully, they are your ideal readers and can give you unbiased feedback. So that means that, yes, your best friend who's going to love and support you no matter what is not a good person to engage at this point. You really need some unbiased feedback on that outline if you choose to get it. The last thing you're going to do in this book is this portion of the month is to revise that outline. So you're going to use any feedback on that outline that you receive to kind of refine your topic. Maybe you're going to make some additional points. Maybe you're going to add something to your chapters or to your story. Maybe you're going to try out different voices and tones for your manuscript. If you're a fiction author, you might have more flexibility to see where the story takes you. But if you're writing nonfiction, you're going to want to make sure your outline is the foundation for your entire book from the beginning all the way to the end. So when in doubt, if you are ever thinking that you are blocked, you're not sure what else to do, you're going to go back to this outline and continue to add to it and make it so that process becomes more smooth. All right, so now here we are at month 4, where you are going to write the first draft of your book. There is no easy way for us to say this, so we're just going to say it. Now that you've done all this work, you've identified your audience, you've established a platform, you've done a ton of work to get that outline done. Now it's time to just do the thing and write the book. Don't worry about perfection. Focus on getting your ideas down on paper and keeping the manuscript moving along. Again, you're going to use that outline you created to keep you on track. When in doubt, keep writing. If you find yourself getting stuck on a chapter or stuck on an idea, just keep moving along. You can always come back to it during revisions. All right, so here are your action steps for month 4. This is a big month with a lot of writing in it. So the first thing you're going to do is set some goals. We know authors who like to establish a daily ritual for writing. Maybe they have a weekly word count goal to keep themselves on track. We know some authors who set aside a certain time during the day to write. Maybe they have a goal to write for a certain amount of minutes per day. Others will take a weekend and go on a writing retreat with their laptop and just sort of close out the entire world and write for hours and hours on end. The bottom line here is that there is no right way to do this. The right way is the way that works best for you. So you're going to have to think about that and talk about it with your loved ones and figure out the best process for yourself. The next thing you're going to do as you're writing is to track your progress. So there are lots of apps out there that you can use. There's an app called Scrivener, or honestly, our personal favorite is Google Docs. It's free and it will help you keep track of your drafts and revisions. And honestly, at this point, as you're tracking that progress, I really think it's important to say that if you have a bad week, if you're not able to get to your writing, even though you promised that you would, don't sweat it. If you need to take some time off for something important, take the time you need. Again, that's why you have that outline in place, because that's something that you can use to get yourself back on track whenever you need to. All right. And then the last thing, and this is really important, you're going to need to do whatever it takes to stay motivated. So staying motivated while drafting your book, honestly, we know from personal experience, it can be really challenging sometimes, no matter who you are, no matter how excited you are about your project. And it's something that is really important because we don't want you to do all of that work leading up to this and then get to a point where you just sort of talk yourself out of it and lose steam. Some authors will join writing communities for support and motivation, but for others, writing groups are more of a distraction than a help. So your writing process at the end of the day is highly personal. Our advice is to find a way to enjoy that process. So maybe you write at your favorite coffee shop, or maybe you reward yourself when you complete chapters, or make the process something that is work, but not work that you dread doing, and something that you can find some joy in. Okay, so month 5 is crucial. At this point, hopefully you have finished your first draft, or you are getting really close to it. As you're moving into this month, we have to give you the single best piece of advice we can give when it comes to publishing your book, and that is to know your choices intimately. So there is no doubt that as your book continues to come together, you're going to start getting really antsy about what it's going to look like in someone's hands. And that is going to be the fun part. The answer to any of the questions that you might have about your options is going to lie in all of the research that this month is going to entail for you to find the publishing path that's going to work best for you. So if you already know how you want to publish your book, that's awesome. But if this is brand new to you, we highly recommend consulting our guide. It's called Portable Magic: How to Write and Publish a Great Book. In that book, we detail all of your options for publishing, all of the advantages and disadvantages for each of those options, and really help you to make the best publishing decision for you. All right, so here are your action steps for month 5. If you want to publish traditionally, you are going to research agents and publishers that really align with your genre. You're going to use resources like the Writer's Market for guidance on how to do that, query tracker is a great resource to keep yourself organized with your queries and pitches. Always, 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 always do your research before signing any traditional publishing agreements. It is super important that you don't get too far ahead of yourself in any of this process and get yourself into a situation that you might regret. So take your time here. And if you do publish traditionally, if you are able to land an agent and publish in that way, to read the fine print. The next thing that you're going to want to explore if you want to explore self-publishing is to decide if you want to partner with maybe a boutique indie publishing house or a hybrid publisher, or maybe you just want to explore self-publishing platforms that like Amazon Kindle Direct or Ingram Spark or any other distribution platforms. So the indie options for you are endless. There are constantly new indie publishers popping up all over the place. The same advice that I gave in the traditional world applies there. Before you sign any contracts, read the fine print and understand the pros and cons. And then no matter what, you are going to compare costs. No matter how you choose to publish, you absolutely must look at the costs associated with each option and what kind of support they offer. And I really can't stress this part enough. I want you to keep in mind that costs aren't just monetary. Your time and energy are also very valuable. You've done so much hard work to get to this point. You don't want to miss this crucial opportunity to kind of set yourself up for realistic success, no matter what publishing option you choose. So during this month, as you're doing your research, take notes, reach out to see other people's experiences, and make sure you're choosing the publishing path that's right for you. All right, we are already at month 6. And in month 6, you are going to revise and edit your manuscript. This is your time to polish your manuscript and make it shine. Honestly, if we think about this, 2 months to draft your book is a really aggressive timeline. And if you are publishing your book in 9 months, then frankly, you do have to get that manuscript or that draft done in a very short timeline. But before we go any further here, if you've come all the way to this point, maybe you are rewatching this video because you have been trying to stick with the 9-month timeline, but you haven't finished drafting your book yet. We just want to tell you, if you need more time to draft your manuscript, research your publishing options, or work on building your platforms, please, by all means, take it. This is a very aggressive 9-month timeline. If you need more time, please, please take it to make sure that this is the book that you can be proud of and stand behind for hopefully your lifetime. So whenever your first draft is completed, whenever that happens, whether it happened very quickly or you need more time to do that, it's time at this point to dive into revisions. So at this point, if you are finished, we highly recommend putting your manuscript away for a couple days at the very least, so you can look at it with some fresh eyes after a short break. That's a really important part of the revision process. All right, so here are your action steps for this 6th month. The first thing that you're going to do is start with some self-editing. So that means that you're going to start with your own revisions. You're going to focus on clarity. You're going to focus on coherence and consistency. This is tough to do on your own. We totally get it. And so our favorite way to catch any errors or our favorite way for you to really see your manuscript in a new and different way is to read your manuscript out loud to yourself. We know it's a lot of work, but we do find that it's worth it. It will help you to get your manuscript as polished as you can make it before moving on to the next step. And reading it aloud really gives you a chance to hear how your words are going to be heard, so to speak, by your audience. The next step here is getting your book professionally edited. So this is really important. If you have secured a traditional book deal, it's likely that editing is part of your contract. So this is something that you would probably skip. However, if you're publishing indie or even hybrid, we recommend hiring a professional editor if at all possible. They're going to give you a fresh perspective and catch any errors you might have missed in your manuscript. This is an optional step. If you are going to be publishing your book traditionally and you are in search of an agent, you can have your book professionally edited before you shop it out as well. And then again, this is optional as well for this editing process. But the third thing that you can consider doing here is reach out to some beta readers. So remember, these are some trusted individuals that you would consider your ideal audience, who are going to read your draft and give you feedback. And again, we talked about this already, but remember, your spouse, your neighbor, your coworker, these people are likely not the best people to give you unbiased feedback on your manuscript. So you really need to choose your beta readers with caution. All right, so in month 7, at this point, you have edited your manuscript. It is as beautiful as it can be. For some authors, this is their favorite part of the process. You're going to design and format your book and make it shine. So a well-designed book is always a must. You know it, we know it. Most importantly, your potential readers know it. So whether you are self-publishing, whether you're working a traditional publisher, whether you have some sort of hybrid experience happening, no matter what, your book needs to look professional. You only get one shot to make a first impression with your book's design. So that said, this section, however, is really just for the authors who are self-publishing. So if you're working with a traditional publisher, or if you're partnering with a very boutique indie or a hybrid publisher, you're going to want to absolutely follow their lead when it comes to the best ways to format and design your book. That's why we have you do so much research into your options for publishing, because it's really important that you trust their professional opinion. So all of what we're going to talk about here in month 7 is really for those of you who are fully self-publishing and designing and formatting your book on your own. All right, so in month 7, if you are designing and publishing your book on your own, here are your action steps. If you are skipping over this month because you don't need this, go back to work on some of the other revisions, or maybe do some work on any of the platforms that you have built. So at this point, these steps are going to be really important that you are employing professionals, people who understand the book world. The first thing is cover design. So you are going to invest in a cover designer who is a professional, obviously, and making sure that your designer is someone who is experienced in the book world. Okay, this is really important. It can't just be any illustrator, somebody who understands books. Book covers, in our opinion, are a very special art form. They require a keen eye. They require an understanding of the audience. They have an understanding of how books are formatted and shown as thumbnails or in online bookstores. So please do not skip this step. And even if you are working with a traditional publisher or a really trusted hybrid or indie publisher, it shouldn't be too much for you to ask to look into some of the credentials of your design team. The same here goes for interior formatting. So the interior of your book is really important, maybe equally important to the cover. So you want to ensure that your interior of your book is formatted correctly, of course, for both print and digital formats. And honestly, whether you're doing this on your own or working with a partner, this is a crucial step that you need to take your time on. And then, oh, this is everyone's favorite part, proofreading. So, and you guessed it, it's the same advice here. You need to conduct at least one final professional proofread to catch any lingering typos or formatting issues. If your publisher is doing this for you, then that's great, but you want to make sure that they are doing that. So once the book is polished and as ready as it can be, as you've read through it, you have looked at the design, you've looked at the interior, you've caught any errors that you can, everything looks as clean as it can be. Do yourself a favor at this point and just let it go. Be done. A lot of authors really get stuck in this phase because something happens knowing that the book is almost finished, and it makes us kind of paralyzed by fear and this idea that we need to make a ton of changes at the last minute can kick in. There is no need to put yourself through all that stress. You have done all of the work leading up to this for a very specific reason, and that is to avoid any of this sort of emotional turmoil at the end of the writing process. Once it has been proofread, at least once, maybe twice, you can let it go and know that it's ready for your audience. All right, now it is month 8, and you are ready to prepare for your launch and to get your book live. So, as your book nears completion, there's all sorts of moving parts when it comes to the design and the cover and the interior and all the proofreading. It's really time to start preparing for that launch. So that includes finalizing your marketing strategy, getting your book listed on distribution platforms like Amazon. Now is a really great time to grab our other really awesome resource. Our book is called The Evergreen Author, Master the Art of Book Marketing. We wrote this book to help you through these critical months before, during, and after your book is out into the world. But in the meantime, here are really your 3 action steps for this 8th month as you're preparing for the launch. So the first thing you're going to do is set your release date. You're going to choose a release date, or if you are traditionally publishing, you're going to obtain that release date from your publisher. And you're going to plan your launch activities around that. So don't worry, if you are not a huge fan of big launch parties, if you don't want to have a big event celebrating you, don't worry about it. The Evergreen Author book is going to give you tons of other options for making sure that you launch your book properly and in a way that's going to feel good for you. The second thing you're going to do this month is to create some buzz for your book. This can feel a little bit awkward. Again, that's why we have that Evergreen Author resource to help you find ways that are going to work for you. But I want you to go back to that author platform that you started all the way back in month 2, or maybe you were building upon it in month 2. Now's the time really to get serious about creating content around your book's upcoming launch. So you're going to start building excitement, maybe with some pre-launch activities. Maybe you do a cover reveal, or maybe you have a countdown. Maybe you release some teaser content. There are so many ways that you can create some excitement around your book and around your topic, and really get your friends and family and all these people who love and want to support you engaged in this process of spreading the word. And then finally, you're going to have to think about distribution. So you're going to finalize all of those distribution channels. If you're working with a publishing partner, whether it's traditional or indie, take some time in this month to really understand what your distribution model is going to look like. So if you're fully self-publishing on your own, at this point, you can upload your manuscript to your chosen platforms, likely Amazon. KDP is one of them, once you have all of your final files in place. And if you are printing books, this is really important. We want you to proceed with caution. The last thing you want is thousands and thousands of books in a warehouse or in your basement. So if you are choosing to print some books, we highly recommend looking into Amazon's print on demand model. Or if you're printing with a boutique publisher, indie publisher, make sure that you are leaning toward a smaller print run. You can always print more if you need them. And then finally, here we are in month 9. We are ready to launch your book and celebrate your big accomplishment. And honestly, it's really important that you congratulate yourself here, whether it took you 9 months to get to this point or if it took you 19, it doesn't matter. Congratulations are in order. Your book is about to hit the shelves or the e-shelves, whatever the case may be. You need to celebrate your hard work and prepare for the ongoing effort of marketing and engagement. So we have good news and we have bad news for you at this point, this 9-month point of your writing journey. You have so much to be proud of. You should absolutely take the time to celebrate your accomplishment. Not many people finish writing a book. A lot of people say they're going to do it, but they don't end up doing it, and you did it. You should be very, very proud of yourself. That is the good news. Here's the bad news. The bad news is that the biggest mistake authors seem to make is to think that once their book is launched, their work is done. And if you ask us, it's only just beginning. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing. We promise. So, here are some action steps for this final ninth month in your book publishing blueprint. The first is to plan your launch event. So, you are going to plan a virtual event or maybe an in-person launch event, maybe a combination of the two, to promote your book and celebrate your success in a way that works for you. And honestly, we really hope that you want to do this. We want you to have put in so much valuable time and energy and effort that when you get to this point, you are really excited to share your book with the world. And again, if you want to check out the Evergreen Author book, and our free course online, it's called Book Launch Blueprint. We have tons of ideas in there for an excellent launch event that's going to suit you best. No matter what your budget, no matter what sort of personality that you have, there are multiple ways for you to make sure that your book is seen once it's out into the world. The second thing you're going to do here is you're going to engage with readers. So now is not the time to get lazy with your platforms. Now is the time to continue to engage with your audience on social media. You're going to request and respond to reviews for your book. You're going to ask your audience to advocate for you. You're going to connect with people in their circles, hopefully, and help spread the word of your book. We really think that people underestimate how much people want to help them in their book publishing efforts and spreading the word. So see how many people are willing to support you in your success. And remember, not everything you put out there into the world, into your social media, into your newsletter, into your blog, needs to be something that sells your book. Focus really on creating value, creating community, creating connection with your ideal readers, and your readers will organically come. The last thing you're going to do, and again, we're always talking about being a scientist of your book's data, is to monitor your sales. That doesn't mean that you're going to get super hyper focused on a certain number of books and you have to sell this certain amount of books. And if you don't, then you're a horrible failure. All it means is that you're going to track your sales and you're going to gather data on your book's performance to inform your future marketing strategies. This isn't just for your book's sales numbers, although those are important. You can also gather data on open rates for your newsletter, or maybe you could go in the back end analytics and see how many people are reading your blog. This is just data. They're just numbers. And all those numbers are going to show you is what's working and maybe what's not. And our best piece of advice is that you are just going to keep doing the things that are working and maybe skip doing the things that aren't. If you don't have a marketing background, that is our rule of thumb. Do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. So if book signings aren't selling a ton of books for you, skip it. If partnerships with organizations or businesses or local book clubs are working for you, do more of that. And this is going to be the ongoing work of being an author. And frankly, if you can find some fun in this part of the process and enjoy it, you are destined to have a very successful writing career. See, it's super simple, right? So hopefully you are feeling pretty dubious about what I just said, because it's not easy. It's not simple. None of this is easy. Experiences with publishing vary widely, and they really depend on lots of different factors. And from writing and to publishing, and especially to marketing, we are often asked by people who find us in our blog, they find us through one of our books, they will reach out to us and say, okay, thanks for all of this, but can you just tell us what's the best path? And I'll just do that. I need you to hear me here. If there was a one-size-fits-all solution for getting your book out there and becoming a bestseller, we would love to give it to you. We both, Josie and I, publish and market our books in different ways because we're different people and we have found different paths that work best for us. Our books, our philosophy, revolve around having authors find a publishing path and maybe a few marketing efforts that bring them joy, and finding success organically through those efforts. Is it a lot of trial and error? Absolutely it is. But if you're using data to inform yourself, then you are really mitigating a lot of that risk. And there you have it. This is your 9-month blueprint for turning your brilliant book idea into a bestseller. So now is a good time to remind you that there is no race to get your book out. So if you spend a few months on each of these steps, don't worry, we're not going to tell. Some authors love that pressure to race to the finish. Some authors would never rush any of the process if it meant sacrificing their attention to quality. Honestly, in other words, 9 months is a template, but you can adjust any of this timing as you see fit. And no matter what, we cannot stress enough that this is a long game. There's going to be days when you're exhausted and you want to give up. Set a pace for yourself that works for you. And if you need to take breaks, take them. Stay engaged with your audience, adapt based on feedback, and keep that momentum going. You also want to stay committed to understanding the data. So stay committed to being that scientist there. You never want to make any decisions about your book that are really based on a gut feeling. Your continued success is going to rely upon you making informed decisions and taking strategic risks. We here at Evergreen Authors are here to help you in those efforts. So I'm so glad that you found us here. We hope that you have found this video helpful. Remember that the best plans for your book are the ones that bring you fulfillment and keep you excited about sharing your work and inspired to continue creating. So be sure to follow us, subscribe to our email list, and stay updated on all the things book marketing. Best of luck to you.